So hello viewers and welcome back to another video on Video Geeks. So in today's video we're going to take a look at Playwright stuff. And what I mean by stuff is, so we're going to take a look at very important or the three important perspectives when you talk about any of the automation testing tool or framework, right? So those three important stuff are querying an element, asserting an element, and performing action or interacting with the elements. So those three are the key things that you might want to do with any of the tests that you write, right? So in this video we're going to take a look at these three things and how to how to query an element, asserting an action, performing an action with the Playwright. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So yeah, if you are coming to the first time on our video, so we have already covered the installation part of the Playwright. You will have a link over here in the I button popping right now, or you can find the link in the description box also. And for the viewers who are first time, for them we have already covered the videos on the Cypress. We have completed the playlist on Cypress. So Cypress is also automation testing tool or framework that you can say. So if you are interested to watch those videos, you will have again the link over here in the I button popping up, or you can find the playlist link in the description box. So starting with today's video, we are going to take a look at the default tests. Yeah, so that is by default coming with the Playwright installation, which will have a name over here under the test folder as example.spec.ts file. You can also have the JavaScript file based on the configuration that you might have did. But for the understanding of this entire lesson, we have created the lesson folder in the repository at the root repository, and you can see the file named lesson2.md. This entire repository will be hosted on my GitHub. The link of that repository you will find in the description box, right? So you can go through that GitHub repository and learn by yourself also. So now we are going to take a look at this default example that is given while we install the Playwright for the first time. So as you read this line of code, you might already get at the idea, or at the first glance only, you will have the idea. You will get the idea that there are two tests written separately. So the first test will test that whether the page has certain title or not. The second thing is it tests the page that the button for get started link is working or not. So that is the important thing, that you get the basic insight of the test, right? Now we are going to take a look at three key things, which is querying an element, asserting, and the last thing is interacting. So first, when it comes to querying an element, in Playwright you have something called locator API. So Playwright uses this locator API to locate an element. So in order to query an element, so query means find an element from the web page, you need to have a locator. And locator is something called the thing that you can use to find an element on the web page, right? So there are different kind of locators, such as ID of an element, certain attributes, class of an element, or if you talk about input field, so the placeholder of the input field and alter text of the image tag. So those things are the locators that you can use as a locator to find an element on the web page, right? So Playwright uses something called locator API, and these are the different kind of locators that you can use, right? Something called by role, by text, by label, by placeholder, by alter text, by test ID, by locator. So these are the different things that you can explore by clicking the link over here that you can see on the locator API, right? So that helps you to locate an element on the web page. So now for an example, you can see on the page that is called so you can see this thing. So this is locating an element called link with the name get started. This is the second thing. So this is locating an heading element which is with the name installation. So these are the two examples of locating an element. Now before that, I actually forgot to explain about navigation. So with any of the test cases that you write, you might want to navigate to specific URL before you start performing in text. So that is something called navigation. So for both of the test cases, you might see the first line, which is called page.code. Now this page.goto is nothing but the navigation. So in Playwright you can use this await page.goto. Now we are using await because that page.goto function is asynchronous, so that means that requires some time to load the page. That's why we use await, to make sure that we are waiting for the first line to be executed completely before we start executing the second line. So that's the important or key factor to know about await and async, right? So now that you know about interaction with the element or locating or querying an element, second thing, you also know navigating an element. Now once you locate an element, the second most thing that you want to do is assertions. So perform an assertion in a way that you verify that element is in a specific state or not, or let's say element contains some specific text or not, or element is visible or not. So some sort of those assertions, like so in Playwright we have something called accept blocks. So accept block is something called assertion block that we can use, and there are so many different matches that we use. So there are generic mappers like to equal, to contains, and there are specific matches like this one, to be visible and to have title. So these are the kind of matches that we use with the accept block. And for an example, if you take this a line, so what this will do is this will take an entire page and it will verify that whether the page has title called Playwright. And if let's say this assertion is passed, then this test is passed. Otherwise, if this assertion is failed, this test is failed. So that's how the assertion is working. So usually assertion verifies particular state of an element, or verify something is visible or not, or something is there or not, right? So that we use in the test cases. This is a second example where you can see we are expecting that page to have a heading with the name of installation. So that is the second example of assertion. So now that you know about the locators, navigation and assertions, now the last thing that you might want to do is actions. So you want to perform certain actions like clicking on the button, or let's say tick marking, or check the checkbox, or fill the input. So these are certain actions that you might want to perform. So for an example, you can have a look at this line of code, which is saying that we are finding an element with the we are finding a link element with the name get started, and then we are clicking on it. So click is something called action that we are performing on the element that is found with this particular locator, right? So if you take an example, there are actions, so many actions that we can perform. Something called check the input checkbox, uncheck the input checkbox, click the element, and there are so many others that you can go through and have a look at over here. But for example, you can have a look at this thing, right? So this is something called action that we can perform. So this is an example of actions that you can perform, right? Also you can, for an example, you can have a look that if you want to do it, if you want to find an element, we can find it in this way. First we can store that element in some variable, then we can perform certain action. But usually the declaration part is skipped and the action is chained with the declaration of the locator itself, right? So this is the usual declaration that we have. Now, other than the three key stuff that we just understood, which is query, assert and performing an action, we want to learn about test isolation and using test hook, right? So test hooks are nothing but the same stuff so that we have learned in the Cypress. So such as called describe block, before each block, before, after each block, before all and after all. So for an example, I have created this second.spec.ts file. So you can see that this is something called test.describe. So this describe block, it is used to group the related test. So we can group all the related tests into one group. So that's why this describe block is used. Then these are the three test blocks. So these are the three test cases that we want to perform, and those are grouped inside this describe block. Now before each block, that is the very special test hook that is executed before each of these test cases are executed. So for an example, in this file we have this navigation that is the first line in both of the test cases. Instead of having both of this line repeatedly in every test cases that we write, right, what we can do is we can create a describe block, and we can create a before each block inside that describe block, and this before each block will be executed before each of the test cases, and it will make sure that we are navigating to particular URL. So that's how this before each block is useful. Now, as the name suggests, this after each block is same. Basically, it will be executed after each of this test block is executed, and then before all and after all. So before all will be executed before all of the test cases are executed, and after all will be executed after all of the test cases in the describe block are executed. So that's the test hooks, and I hope you have got the idea, because those are very simple to understand, right? And at last we have something called test isolation. So test isolation means so this is the concept that Playwright uses. So pages are isolated between test due to the browser context. So every test that we write over here, it will get a fresh environment even when the multiple tests are run in a single browser. So Playwright will execute each of the test cases in simultaneously, or you can say parallelly. So while running this test case, so this is the page context, this is the page fixture that is this test is getting. Now whatever the page instance this test will get, it will be completely different from this test. So you can see an example over here. So page belongs to isolated browser context created for this test. Now this page in the second test is completely isolated from the first test. So that's how test isolation works, and that's how Playwright is able to achieve the parallel execution of the test cases that it described over here. And that's why this is very much efficient when it compares to the Cypress, because Cypress doesn't have the built-in or the free parallel test execution for you, right? So this is the main thing, test solution, that you might want to understand in the brief, and you can use these links to understand those, right? And yeah, I think that explains the basic stuff that you might want to understand, and I hope you have got the idea about querying, asserting, and interacting with the element. So in the next video we will understand this file in depth, and we will use something called code gen to generate the code. Instead of writing this code, we will generate it automatically using the Playwright's feature, which is called Playwright's code gen. And yeah, subscribe to our channel if you don't want to miss this video where we'll use the Playwright code gen. And that's it for today's video. We'll meet in the next one. Till then, keep learning and keep exploring. Bye bye.